You are now listening to the iWalter Show. Real talk about nothing.
Faster than a speeding bullet, more powerful than a locomotive, able to leap tall buildings in a single bound. Look, up in the sky, it's a bird brain, it's a plane, it's iWalter. Yes, it's iWalter, strange visitor from another planet who came to Earth with powers and abilities far beyond those of mortal men. iWalter, who can change the course of mighty rivers, bend ears with his annoying voice, and who disguised as Walter Interranti, mild-mannered janitor for a great metropolitan newspaper, fights a never-ending battle for truth, nonsense, and the American way. And now, another exciting episode in the adventures of iWalter.
Hey everyone, this is Walter on iWalter. I've been off for a while, so really not much of a loss for many people. I really don't have that many listeners. Anyway, yeah, I wanted to do a show at least tonight, try to the best I can. Yes, I have been off for quite a while. It is Tuesday night at 10:30, and I hopefully can get this rounded up before Wednesday morning with no distractions. I am crossing my fingers. Yeah, I actually was planning to do a show Monday night, or actually Sunday night. I was going to go up to visit a friend, and lo and behold, it was an accident, but I have this TV stand where I have all my electronic equipment, and my TV, of course, but, an old VHS player I've got mint condition on eBay, and, my cable box, and my now deceased Xbox One. It actually, what happened was in my TV set, in some stereo equipment, but I accidentally knocked over basically a small cup of water, and I was crossing my fingers, thank goodness, thank God. The only thing that got destroyed was the Xbox One. Now, why am I saying that? 'Cause that's like a $400 or $500 unit. Well, I make sure on any electronics nowadays, that was the last thing I expected to happen, is I always definitely make sure to buy, and I recommend this for any new electronics nowadays, you definitely have to buy the extended warranty. So, I basically got the console discounted, brand new at the time, at the GameStop, which it was funny. That was one thing that actually kept me awake. Because there was people saying, oh, yeah, don't buy the extended warranty at GameStop because it's a waste of money. And that actually kept me up all night, believe it or not, because it's like, okay, I just bought a $400 unit, and they're saying that Xbox does not, Xbox. I'm already confused because I have doors slamming behind me. The GameStop it's just a scam, that you buy these warranties and they are useless. Well, I remember when I bought my unit that they actually do scan. There's a scan bar on every console you would buy, and they do that for the specific reason. If you do have any problems, you can bring it back in the store, and they have that on file on the, everything's computerized on any GameStop you go to. So I always make sure to go back to the same exact one I had originally went to, and this would be the one in Trooper. And thank goodness I went in there, and the guy said, yeah, there's no problem. And I asked him, actually, you know what? I looked online. That's another thing you always want to do. I looked online to see what the inventory was. I got the white Xbox One. I like the white. I know that's just appealing to the eye. It actually has nothing to do with the unit itself. I said, but you know what? I'm at the point now. Microsoft, when they did their last upgrade on the console, they actually did, they upgraded it to a version of Windows 10. And I'm not a big fan. I'm not a big hater, but I don't really particularly like Microsoft. I've been there since quite a few years ago. And I decided, you know what? I'm ready to jump ship once again with any Microsoft product. Now, I have a Surface, which I don't really use, and actually I have a tablet not a tablet PC. It's similar to it. that runs Microsoft. But I left that at my job a couple months ago, and I don't really care if I get it back or not, honestly. But the bottom line is, yeah, I was just ready. I was a little skeptic at first, or skeptical, but to go back to what I had prior to the Xbox One, which was actually the Sony PlayStation 3, which I really didn't have any problems with. But the thing is, the newer games look much better, and there are certain games that are only be particularly released on the newer consoles. That was one of the reasons, and plus all the hardware is updated tremendously. You know, it's a lot better. So I asked him, I said, hey, can I, since it's dead, and I didn't tell him it was my fault, even though I think GameStop does honor. I heard a guy giving the spiel to somebody else when I went in to exchange my console out, which I now changed it to a PlayStation 4 once again, which I originally had before the Xbox One. And they said, yeah, you know what, you can do that. But they actually told people before me in the store, they said, hey, you know what, even if you decide like you get pissed off and you throw the machine against a wall, we will swap it out. I was like, well, I don't know about that. I'm not going to go that far. But I did spill water, not much, but just enough to short out the mechanism inside. I mean, it was like dead as a doornail. I mean, I couldn't even, I had a disc in the drive. It was some TV show on a DVD, and it kept on spitting it out and putting it back in and spitting it out, and then it just basically died. So, yeah, it definitely got down into the main part of the unit, and it is dead. So there was no questions asked. I brought it into the GameStop, and I called beforehand, and I looked online. I said, well, you know what? I want to change back to a PlayStation, because now PlayStation has white ones. The hardware is a little bit more compact. I was questioning them. They answered me. I said, well, why does, the hardware, but technically on both machines, Xbox One from Microsoft and Sony's PlayStation 4 are running pretty much very similar, the same hardware underneath their units. I like to call it underneath the hood. And they said, yeah, they kind of are. There's a little bit, the biggest difference is on the speed of the RAM is the main difference between the two systems. And maybe minor issues, and obviously the software, the OS is completely different as well. I've had both. I had my Xbox One for almost over a year, the newest one, because when I went in, they said, yeah, you used up about, I think it was definitely over 12 months. It was definitely halfway through the second year of my warranty. So, and honestly, if it wasn't for me shortening out, the machine would have still been alive. There was nothing else wrong with it. It's basically human error, and it was my fault that it broke. So, yeah, I went back to the PS4. I was a little bit not too happy at first because I do like Sony. I've always liked Sony products. But I had issues with the PlayStation 4 when it first came out, that it did not play my movies. Because mainly what I'll use it for is occasionally a couple games, streaming TV shows or movies that I get from Netflix or I rent online. And, movies, couple games, and streaming shows or movies or other, media stuff you can basically get on the consoles now. Because my TV used to, but they discontinued that service on my TV set because that was part of it. It was a media TV, the one I have. So that was kind of nice. And, obviously you get the higher definition too on these consoles now. It's 1080p, I think, or 1080i, which is fine. It's not 4K. Now I understand that Xbox eventually is going to have an upgrade through software to do 4K if you'd like to. Apparently PlayStation cannot do that, but I've had both. It's not that big of a deal. I don't have a 4K TV set. I don't think I will buy anything like that in the near future. So anyway, I had some complications. Again, there was some human error. I didn't know how to actually turn on the machine at first when I swapped out my machines. I actually had to swap out all the games. I actually broke out pretty much even on just trading old games for the exact same games again that were used at the GameStop. The console was an even swap out. Apparently, though, the white consoles are actually worth more. I could have bought a brand new black one, and it would have been much cheaper. It wouldn't have mattered either way, because either way I would have went, would have cost me absolutely nothing because it was part of my contract. So when people, if you ever read online, oh, GameStop does not honor what they sell to you as far as extended warranties, that's a bunch of bullshit, because they did that for me. They were very nice about it. So, and when I traded in my games, they basically gave me credit, which I rebought the games again, ones that I either wanted or did not want. So I broke out even. Maybe even actually broke out a little bit of ahead of the game, because I, give or take, because I actually had to buy, I actually bought traded them in, but I bought also new controllers, things like that, which actually aesthetically I like. The PlayStation's a lot better. Games on the Xbox with the controllers are, most guys don't mind them. I actually had a difficult time maneuvering those. I added one game or two that I did not have before. One was actually, it's a GameStop exclusive, was this Ultimate limited edition of Mortal Kombat 10, which was fun because the limited edition comes with extra characters, which actually included Jason Voorhees, which he's actually very hard to maneuver, but he's actually definitely fun to play with. So, the one thing that was a big seller when I bought the Xbox One was they actually, which makes no sense at all, you can actually stream your TV through the Xbox One, which at first I thought was really impressive. Well, they did an update, and that was no longer the case. You could not use your TV set. It was much harder to get it to work. And I have a digital box for, you have to have digital cable in order to run it through the Xbox. It does not work properly anymore from the last upgrade they did. So it was kind of pointless, because I was basically, all I could do was stream TV shows and watch movies, or, use the Blu-ray player on there, or DVD player, depending on what you were playing in there. It's the same thing. It's a Blu-ray player that plays both. So at that point, it was like, okay, I'm, try the PlayStation 1 again. Again, it was much smaller, less heat producing. And the other thing was, I asked them, though, I said, okay, why is the power supply, if they run in the same hardware underneath the casing, why is the Xbox had this big, massive power brick that is running out of the machine? They said, well, that was actually a power surge protector. And they said that there was some good and bad about that, because one part, you're losing power, and another part, it protects your machine. Well, you know what? You can pick up a simple surge protector if you really want one, probably for like about $20. So if you really wanted one, I don't see the purpose of them. If you get, what do you call it? Because it obviously did not protect my machine, because I don't even think the water technically hit the machine. It hit more of the power thing. But either way, the power surge thing is supposed to protect your unit, that if you do have a power surge, which rarely happens, that your machine won't get destroyed, but the power brick will. But I don't think you need, I think that's a little bit bogus, too. I can't imagine a power surge protector being that massively big. I've never seen one that big, even on computers. Depends what kind you have. If you have one running a server or, some big machinery at home, yeah, I probably would see one maybe even bigger than that. But that was just a little over the top. I know they did put a big, massive heat sink fan in there, bigger than they really necessarily needed to. But now having both the Xbox One and had the Xbox One and the PlayStation 4, yeah, it definitely was not necessary. It just added on to the cost, too. Personally, I think the Xbox or PlayStation 4 runs much faster than Xbox One, too. I may have made a mistake in what I just said, so I apologize. But the bottom line is I ran both units. I didn't like the PlayStation 4 when it originally came out, because it was strictly just for being a gaming console. With their last, I think they just did it a few months ago, they did a massive update on their operating system, and it definitely made much needed necessary changes. It definitely made it more into a, what most people will use these units for as a media hub. It doesn't take that much room and it doesn't run that hot. So, I mean, both systems have their ups and downs, their good points and their bad points. But overall, I'd have to say that I was glad I made the transition back to a PlayStation 4. So that actually was one of the reasons I did not do a podcast on Sunday. I was going to go and do one on location with a friend, and I did not. And that was the reason why. Last night I didn't do one because I just heard some news from work from a friend who had mentioned stuff that, I've been out of my job for going on 3 months now. And, I've asked people, different people, different questions. Some would say, don't believe what my friend from work had mentioned to me. Other people said, well, I don't think she would make this up. But the bottom line was, she was mentioning that it was a suspicion I've had all along. I used to call this one girl at work. She was a lab technician, and she seems to obviously, well, probably still does. I don't know. I haven't been there for 3 months. Basically gets to do whatever she wants to do, and nobody will stop her. And it seems like that is the truth for most of the females, not all of them, but most of the females at work, that the men and the supervisors cater to the women more than the men. So, but now you're saying, okay, aren't you being a little bit hypocritical? Because I really didn't clarify what I'm trying to say yet, I know. But my one friend said, she's, a woman, and she said this one girl at work who was a tech was basically telling everybody that, Walter, myself, did not do any work at my job. I basically sat around all night and only collected trash, and I did not do any other task at my job, which is actually a total lie. And I actually said to her, I said to a friend in a voicemail, I said, well, if this is possibly true, hey, I hate to tell you, but that's considered liable. Basically making slanderous remarks, saying to defamate my character, stating that I am not doing my job. And I said to a friend on a phone today, not the female friend, a different friend, I said, yeah, well, me as far as my, you could validate that I'm not that kind. My characteristics don't speak as a person who does not do his job. I would not be that way. It's just not in my nature. People who know me, and obviously people at work do. So obviously that definitely got me very depressed last night. I was so angry. I was like really, really angry. And it's like, I think that's what people try to do. They try to successfully get me extremely upset. And that was one time it actually did work. I'm not going to I'm doing a show, and I doubt they listen to it, but that was just extremely uncalled for. That would definitely be, and I said, if this goes to the point I come back to work and they say, hey, you know what, you never did your job. You left it for, quote unquote, for two women on day shift to do all the work while you sat around doing nothing. I will take this one girl who ran around in like she was on a workout outfit every day in ultra tight spandex, and some other technician who actually mentioned the same thing to my friend, saying, yeah, Walter never did anything. I will take them to HR, and if that does not work, I will get, obviously I will take that to a lawyer under defamation, the spoken untrue stories about me not doing my work will definitely make sure they get in trouble for not only defamation of character, but speaking out of tone, which would be considered liable, and whatever else. So that is just a hearsay. That's not a threat. That's definitely a promise. And it just really upset me last night. It definitely did. I just can't believe that. Now, it's funny because my friend said, now, the women who are the feeble, helpless damsels in distress who are get stuck left all doing all the work. The one is close to, she won't. This is what I meant about the management taking the side of the female perspective. She apparently has routinely showed up not to work on time, and her tardiness has, on 2 occasions, left her with a 1-day suspension. Now, normally how it works, the first time at most places that I've worked, you don't show up to work on a repeated basis, you're basically fired. Well, we have steps. Well, every time, we have a 3-step thing, 3 strikes, you're out. Well, every time she is on a routine daily, of not showing up to work on time, this one particular individual, they just basically put her back to step 1. Everyone else I know has gone to step 2 and actually step 3 that they've actually physically have gotten fired. Sometimes they do get their job back too. But no, this one individual, they always put her back to step 1. Now that's a different person. That's a woman who used to supposedly clean during the day, which she was on routine times. I found her when I came in early, or heard it from other people. She was just walking around, couldn't be found, and was sleeping. So I know that's, hey, this is not true. Can you prove that? Well, can you prove that I did not do my job? So there you go. There's another thing. There's a double standard. Well, even if they don't have proof, which is not true, I did do my work because it's all been documented. If you go back 3 months from the last day I worked there, you could see that I physically did the work. They also do a test in the room to make sure the rooms were cleaned properly. So if the rooms come up clean and they're documented, then there is no problem. But with the other person, if the rooms were said they were cleaned, but they were not even cleaned, and they come up what we like to call hot, like they got some contamination in them, well, there you go. So, but will they look at that? Absolutely not. Their whole thing is there's this vicious man who is brutally attacking these helpless women. That's what they say. And that whole damsel in distress and, we got to take the side of the woman every time is got to really stop, unfortunately, because, that place I work, I don't care who we get into office next year, hopefully a Republican, and, they take over again and actually straighten out the mess we're in now. It's not going to help that company I work for. There will be no company. That's the bottom line. So I just wanted to kind of like explain why I wasn't on the air. And that's the main part of it. It was just the nonsense with being basically the scapegoat, I would have to say. There's no other way to put it. It's pretty clear. It's pretty concise that they side with, especially the males, side with the women, and they get away with it because even the one I'm talking about was no better than the girl who was a technician who wears spandex and walks around doing what she wants to do, and basically thinks she runs the place. There's 1 or 2 who are like that. That's not true for all the people, or that are women or any other ethnic background, but there's a few that really think no offense, that their shit doesn't stink and they can do whatever they want to do, and there's no one to stop them. There really isn't. And that place is just such a mess where I worked. I was glad to be out. Now that time's going to be up hopefully soon, and hopefully I don't have to take the stronghold of going to a court to settle this, or a lawyer, or even some type of higher up. Before that, I'm hoping not to do that, but that might be what it's going to look like, may need to happen. Anyway, I apologize. There's some background noise right now. So, what else was I going to say? Because I lose my train of thought when that happens. It's passive aggressiveness in the household. That usually happens when you do a show. Can you please be quiet? Then they have to talk to you. And blast TV sets and music like they are tone deaf, or actually just deaf, period. So anyway, yeah, that's what I normally deal with. But hearing the defamation from these people at work was not appreciated from me at all. In fact, I was very angry, and it really definitely upset me last night. So again, Sunday was a catastrophe with the console system getting destroyed accidentally by me, and then yesterday hearing the bad news. So on a lighter note, though, and I got some dark stories which I will go through, just remember this Thursday comes Star Wars. So I'm just giving you a heads up on that. On a darker note first, I thought it was pretty fun. I got to lighten up the mood. Going back a couple days, it doesn't take too long for me to get a bunch of stories that I can read. But anyway, again, if you ever buy any type of electronic equipment, meaning consoles and gaming systems, I would definitely recommend just give them a plug. Go to the GameStop, buy their extended warranties. Yes, it is worth the cash. You're not wasting your money whatsoever. I do the same thing with all my Apple products. I definitely make sure that I buy extended warranties. They are very expensive, but in the long run, the money you fork down on a $100, $200 warranty is going to be paid back, because I guarantee you most electronics are going to break down within that time period of the warranty, and you won't regret buying any type of extended warranties. You're going to get your money back the first time you use it. So I just wanted to give, I gave Apple a plug too, so to speak, but definitely the GameStop as well. Anyway, a story sent from my friend Todd said, Fox 43, homeowner tricks holiday package thief into stealing box of dog poop. So anyway, this was in Las Vegas. A homeowner in Las Vegas basically set up a box filled with dog shit, and he left it for knowing that his packages had been stolen. So the thief would be in for a rude awakening, because what the thief actually stole, which he thought was a package delivered to this home, was actually a box of dog shit. So it was pretty funny. And the guy actually warned this person beforehand, listen, I have surveillance cameras. Hey, we can catch you stealing our packages. But the person who, apparently the thief, who was persistent of stealing packages from this particular home, did not give up, and the person of the home decided, well, we need to teach this person a lesson. That was on December 14th. That was just yesterday. It was pretty funny, though, so I just have to mention that. Anyway, there was a story I wanted to read. I think a friend sent this yesterday, too. This was on the Huffington Crime Post. I really don't like Huffington Post, but I just couldn't help it. Tennessee teens arrested and jailed for wearing saggy pants. This is not the first time I've heard about this. 4 Tennessee high school students have been charged with indecent exposure in recent weeks, and 2 of them jailed for it. That's because they wore saggy pants. 2 of the seniors at this high school, basically about 70 miles east of Memphis, spent 48 hours in jail because of their low-riding clothing. Basically, these kids wear these boxer shorts with their pants hanging literally down to their knees anymore. I've seen that before. I'm not even joking. So it just looks really bad. It looks really pathetic. And, they wanted to make sure that these kids would not do it again. So what did they do? They got arrested. Again, I think it's just a scare tactic. Of course, places like Huffington Post will make it that this is appalling that these poor kids got arrested. It was like, no offense, kids did not do that years ago. It's just a whole look they want to get to be badass. Well, guess what? You don't have to show your ass to be badass. It just looks like you look like a clown, folks, so that do that. So, and speaking about that, I heard this the other day was this different story. It was on Epic Times. Melissa Harris Perry, Star Wars is racist because Darth Vader is a black guy. Now, I heard Rush Limbaugh was talking about this yesterday, and he was just going off about this woman. She's on one of these news things. It looks like MSNBC News. She covers for somebody else when they're out. And she was just going off how Star Wars has always been, and probably, at least the first 3 original episodes were very racist with Darth Vader. He was a black man, basically, with the voice, and the fact that the costume was black. And then when they take the helmet off, the good person was white. She was going off about this. And it is really... And this woman is some higher up, or a principal, I believe. I can't remember. At some high school. And I don't even know how she got the job. She is half black, half white. Now, here's the thing I did not know. Most of her information or source of information is not from, what do you call it? It is not from watching the movies. She may have never seen them. She's just going on speculation. And her source of information, of all people, because I met the man before, was from Kevin Smith in the movie Chasing Amy, because it was a character in the movie, character who was filled with, I think that was the character's name, Black Rage. Some comic book guy. It was a black guy. I think he was a comedian. I can't remember if it's the one I'm thinking it is. Well, anyway, it was a character in Chasing Amy, and she's pulling her information from Kevin Smith's Chasing Amy with, racist characters in comic books, in movies. And it's like, okay, this is really, really pathetic. I mean, this woman is pathetic, and she's actually getting heard. That's the problem. She's actually making, making waves with this thing, or she's getting heard, at least by idiots. I'm trying to read what she wrote. The quotes say, "I know why I have feelings, good, bad, or otherwise, about Star Wars," Perry explained. "I spent a whole day talking about it, about Darth Vader, the Darth Vader situation." And there's another part, she says, the part where I was totally where he was totally a black guy whose name was basically James Earl Jones, she said. While he was black, he was terrible and bad, awful, and used to cut off white men's hands, and didn't actually claim his son. But as soon as he claims his son, he goes over to the good, takes off his mask, and you find his mask, and he's white. Yes, I have many feelings about that. So she's speculating about a freaking film that Lucas made, saying that it was a racist film. Now, you're really grasping at twigs, not even straws. You're grabbing at twigs. You're grabbing at air. I mean, this woman, I agree with Rush. She's just basically, she's nuts. She's a total whack job. I have something to say about that too. I might even cut that in. But yeah, Melissa Harris Perry, her mom was white and her father was black. And she looks pretty much white, but she tries to act like she's completely a black woman, and that she's been discriminated upon all her life, and that black people are all being discriminated upon. Personally, the woman needs to go for some serious help. I mean, I agree with Rush about that. And the reason I mentioned some other stuff, I saw the last couple of days on Netflix, because I've had it for years, and I go through spurts once in a blue moon where I'll like, hey, I got to make some money off these, get some of my money back, watch a few films or TV shows on Netflix. So I actually did that, and 2 of the films I watched were horrendous. And one of them was actually called, which I don't understand this, but it's a film that's named Mr. Hush. The movie was horrible, but the actors seemed like they really knew how to act. These were like actually actors. They weren't like just people you hire off the street who have never had any acting experience. And I didn't understand why, because one of the actors, he was actually horrible, I'm sorry to say, was this actor was in the original movie Fright Night. He was the goofy guy, I can't remember his name, and I don't even care about these names, so I'm not going to even look him up, who gets changed into a vampire. He was actually at the Mr. Hush convention where I met Dean Cain and the original actor who played Jason Voorhees, the second guy, as a full-grown adult. That man was actually in this movie called Mr. Hush. Now, they have conventions based upon, or, affiliated. They're horror conventions, but based upon the movie Mr. Hush. I've never seen the movie Mr. Hush, so I decided, hey, it's on Netflix. I'm already paying for it. I might as well check it out. And it was so poorly shot. It's shot like any day. Nowadays, anybody with like $200 in their pocket will buy a high-definition camera and think that they are automatically professional filmmakers. Well, this film looked like that. The only difference was it looks like somebody shot it, literally not only at their house, but it looks like it was shot really, really poorly. I mean, the camera work was horrible. The mic setup was horrendous. The only thing that it had going for it is they had actors, like real actors. Most people wouldn't know unless you watch a lot of B horror movies, because, again, the one guy was from Friday the 13th. The other guy was from Fright Night. And there was a couple other actors in this film that actually were professional actors. They were getting paid, and to say the least, Brian, I'm going to get his name wrong, Brian O'Halloran. Basically, let me just say the guy who played Dante Hicks was in the film, and he was not credited if you look it up online, but he was credited in the film. Well, guess what? His part comes up after the credits roll. They do a 10-minute spiel with Brian, the guy who played Dante Hicks in the film of Mr. Hush. And I hate to say it, the film was extremely bad, but he was the only thing that was actually worth watching at all in the film. The movie was just so poorly shot and mic'd that the actors, who obviously sounded like they knew how to act, were destroyed by the way this film was shot. I mean, it was horrible. The part at the end was shot outdoors. The other scenes, a lot of them were shot indoors too, and that just is really difficult to do if you don't have mics and lights and camera work set up properly, which they did not. Outdoors, you can't really make too much of a mistake. So the ones with the guy who played Dante in Clerks was completely shot outdoors, and they couldn't really fuck it up. But overall, the film was horrendous. Now, how does this go back to that nutcase I was talking about? Well, the second film was this movie called Pod, or was it Pods or Pod? It's a brand new movie. There's another movie. It looks like somebody with a $200 camera must have shot it, and it was extremely bad. I'm gonna look it up. That one I will look up. I don't even care about the actors. Yeah, it is actually just called a Pod. Now, why am I bringing that up? Because this will lead into my next story. Excuse me. Yeah, 2015, and the movie is extremely bad. So I gotta find my spot. I can't find it now either. No, that's not it. It was actually on. No, sorry about that. Okay, it was on bloodydisgusting.com. 10 hidden horror gems on Netflix. Well, guess what? Pod was one of them, and I wouldn't recommend that movie to my worst dead enemy. That movie was so bad. There's this one guy who was supposed to play, it was like two brothers and a sister. The one brother is a lunatic who was living by himself somehow in a cabin, which he had in captive an alien, which you don't see till the very last part of the film. And they basically speculated, well, because the guy was like had tinfoil over the windows, he was completely nuts, and he proclaimed that he had scratches and he was wounded and stuff. He said, and it looked self-inflicted, but he was proclaiming that, oh, I have an alien in the basement. It's like, no, you're a total lunatic. That's where it fits into the story about that nutcase woman who thinks Star Wars is basically racist. I mean, the guy in this film, Pod, is pretty much as nuts, the character he played, this actor. The character he portrayed as a nutball is about as nuts as that lady who thinks that Star Wars is racist. That's what I wanted to say. So anyway, that's where I'm going to lead into this now. 10 Hidden Films. I would not recommend the movie pod, and that's actually the first on the list. That movie was so irritating that I was literally ready to check myself into a mental state hospital because the movie was just really horrible. It was the worst piece of garbage I've ever seen, and this is number one on their list of must-see movies on Bloody Disgusting. So, folks, where are you getting these ideas that these are great films or not? They actually recommend this movie Housebound, which I now am kind of questioning when they say, oh, this is a great movie, you got to check it out. Next one is a movie called Don't Blink. Now, they did recommend on the list this movie called The Hole. That one I did watch last night, and that movie actually was really good. It also was a low-budget film, but as opposed to the other films, this one had, to me, a little bit of the traits of classic films that I probably grew up with. I'm trying to think because I'm not going to pick the ones I was thinking of Poltergeist and something else. Now, and probably Goonies. But, it's kind of a little bit simple-minded, but it was fun to watch, and it was definitely entertaining. So The Hole was definitely a plus. Anemoxia or something, that was one. I don't know. Creep, I doubt it. The Den, Pontypool, Exterior, Zombie Beaver. I'm actually going to try to check that out because it looks so bad that it has to be funny. And that was the last of their recommended movies. But yeah, that was just like, that movie pod was the worst. Hey, since I got this up, I'm going to go through my list. I'm going to lighten it up where I can. Howard Stern, just as of today still, did extend his Sirius XM deal he did renew his contract. He said he was not, but now he actually is. And there was another one that said Howard Stern also plans streaming video app. So that would be pretty cool because once in a blue moon, I don't mind listening to Stern. I can't listen to him like the way I did when I was younger. I can't, listen to him for that long because, excuse me, folks, he just seems like, a rant. Excuse me. I might have to get a glass of water. A rant and raving child sometimes. And, I just can't deal with Stern on a full-time basis. I mean, I love the man, but he's almost a little bit childish sometimes on the way he goes off on certain things. So, little bits of them I wouldn't mind if I could get to stream, and so give or take, I'm losing my voice over that. Hey, when I spoke about earlier Star Wars, they did the premiere in Hollywood, I guess. Where would that be considered? China. It's in Los Angeles. Excuse me, I'm losing my voice again. Might have to cut off for a minute. It just continues. But they did the premiere, and that was officially, I think, today, if I remember correctly, out in the West Coast. Anyway, there was an article on comicbook.com, and it says Star Wars The Force Awakens breaks $100 million in advanced ticket sales. So that's really good. I'm pretty impressed. I actually bought a ticket, canceled it out because I'm going to go see it with a friend now this Thursday, which is a day or two away, give or take, when you listen to this show. So, apologize about my voice. Also, I think this is still technically would have been today. Happy International Tea Day. Don't know what that's about. That was on MeTV, and they have a thing with Shatner. Sorry, Intergalactic Tea Day. By the way, I did this thing, folks. It was pretty funny, and I actually got 20 out of 30 questions right. Game On, the old school video game console quiz. I thought I would get a little bit more. That's pretty impressive, actually, because you're talking old school. They said it was all old school. It actually was not. It was actually some of the newer consoles. But I got 20 out of 30 questions correct. You can get that on electronics.howstuffworks.com. And it's on my Facebook page, but I don't think I did that bad. Hey, I got at least, what is that, like a C? I'll take it. I'm going to try to throw the dark stories in to kind of lighten the mood. This was a kind of morbid story on the Dreamin' Demon, which is morbidly as well. On the 15th, teen charged after spraying a disabled teen with cologne and then setting them on fire. At first, I saw this picture. I thought it was an old man, but it's a little kid, 13 years old, and he's like severely burned. So I don't know what people think of sometimes. And I kind of question that. Like, you know, I'm the one who's under the microscope at work, being slandered, you know, having slanderous remarks put upon me. And yet you got like monsters like this around, who just basically, they say they're going to do something to reprimand these people, but they really never do. Yeah, but this 13-year-old boy was hospitalized, suffering from second and third degree burns because, according to his mother, a bully sprayed him with cologne and then set him on fire. That's a shame. I just don't understand people. Yeah, there was a story the other day when I wasn't on. Some woman charged with attempted murder after botched coat hanger abortion. This was in Tennessee. Back in September 31st, 31-year-old filled a bathtub with water and tried to abort a 24-week-old baby. Hey, nowadays, I'm not going to try to mess up the names. This was on Dreamin' Demon. You'll find it right away. Honestly, you can go to any abortion clinic and you'll probably get it covered thanks to the overabundance of money being pushed in thanks to our democratic, democratic stronghold in the government, allowing people to do and cater to anybody to get who has no money or who is just some type of deadbeat or lowlife, allow them to do whatever they want to do, give them the money towards anything their heart's desire, and there's no stopping the lowest common denominator from doing what they want to do. So this woman could have easily gotten money or went to an abortion clinic, and it would probably been, you know, out of our tax dollars, because she could have done that instead of doing it, on herself to abort a baby. So I don't know. There was another one on Dreamin' Demon, too. 2 arrested after 2 children found dead inside a storage unit. That other one was, I think, yesterday. Or it might have actually been today's. I don't see it. Well, let's see. Yeah, it was yesterday. But there was one today. The 2 arrested after 2 children found dead in a storage unit. And this was in California. A lot of information is still coming in on the next story out of California, where 2 people have been arrested after child abuse investigation led police to the dead bodies of 2 children in a storage locker. So that, you know, I just, again, it doesn't make any sense. Okay, this couple was a 39-year-old woman and a 17-year-old guy. Both were arrested with felony of child abuse, torture, and mayhem after a young girl in their care was found severely abused. The girl is currently in the hospital in critical condition after undergoing surgery, according to the Reading Police Department. But they said, though, they actually also found 2 children dead. During investigation, police found would be directed towards the storage unit where they would discover the dead bodies of 2 children ages 3 and 5 who were reportedly the abused girl's siblings. Okay, so yeah, there you go. You know, I am always amazed by people like this, how they actually are able to reproduce, procreate, how they're allowed to. I mean, I guess it's because of our government. So, and by the way, I don't know if people heard that today, but Yeah, there was another shutdown in California of all the schools because of terrorist threats or whatever. I don't know. Nobody really seemed to know the full story earlier today. I'm sure they still kind of don't. But this stuff is just going to continue as we continue to let in these refugees and these Muslims, which I have to agree with Trump with. You got to stop this until, probably indefinitely, but at least for now, until the major threat is put under control. And unfortunately, with our government and with Obama, he just continues to allow people, because he finds it to be discriminatory against Muslims that they're not allowed in our country. Well, they're the ones, majority of them are the ones that are being found that are causing these issues and these hate crimes and murders. But he doesn't wish to see the truth. So, and because of that, and because of what Trump says, yesterday, Rush Limbaugh said that Trump was actually down on the polls, and apparently Cruz for the Republican Party was up. I know the voting's not going to happen until next year. The electoral votes won't happen, or electing a new president won't happen until next November. But that's going to be probably coming around pretty quick at this point because people are fed up with what's going on. And it might seem like forever, but I think that time's going to come a lot quicker than what we expect. It seems like the years go fast to begin with, at least for me. So anyway, he did say today, and I read some reports that, Trump is actually back. He's like number one as far as who would be running or would be elected as the running candidate for president for the Republican Party. Cruz is down a bit in second place, and I think it's like 41% for Trump, and it's like 38%, something like that, 35% for Cruz. It might actually be lower, but I know there was a big gap between at least those two and the next candidate, potential candidate, which would be 15%. So we already know who's going to run for the Democratic Party. I'd just rather not mention that. So anyway, I just had to throw that in what I was talking about. Hey, on a lighter note, happy birthday before the end of tonight, which is only a half hour away from me, to Mr. Tim Conway. Happy birthday. He had turned 82 today, which by the time this goes up, he will be 82 and 1 day older. So anyway, happy birthday, happy belated birthday. Not yet. Anyway, back to some dark news. Again, it just questioned how, people don't want to admit that, I feel like I'm always the one being pointed out as like, hey, if you take care of Walter, everything else should fall into place. That whole situation, again, that I do feel that way. Because I mentioned this before, Norristown is on the top 100 list of the most dangerous places to live now. Well, here we go. Norristown Times-Herald, yesterday's news. It's probably in today's newspaper, though. Shootings. Police investigating shooting in Norristown. Now, I know exactly where this place is. Norristown police are investigating a shooting that occurred in the area of Corson Street and Blackberry Alley around 2:40 a.m. on Monday. The victim, a 29-year-old Norristown resident, suffered a gunshot wound to the back and was transported to Paoli Hospital for treatment, where he remains in stable condition after undergoing surgery. Officers were dispatched to 600 block of Astor Street upon receiving a call that the victim was in the doorway of a residence. The police arrived and found the victim being tended by residents, one whom was covering the wound with his hand. The victim told police he was heading to the Crown Fried Chicken on 323 West Marshall Street, walking east on Blackberry Alley, approaching Corson Street. when he encountered the suspect, who was wearing a gray hooded sweater with the hood pulled over his head and a blue bandana. The victim said to the suspect's face, the victim said that the suspect's face was covered. Now, this is not good news, folks. I mean, it's gotten really dangerous in a place that years ago was a completely safe place to live. The suspect reportedly said, "Stop, don't move," and asked the victim whether he recognized his voice. The victim told the suspect he did not and began running north on Corson Street when he was shot from behind. After being shot, the victim ran into the relative's house in the 600 block of Astor Street. He did not look back or see which direction the suspect went. So this man got shot. I know where that Crown Chicken is, too. It is actually not that far from where I live. It's like less than 10 minutes from my house. So this is just very alarming to read stuff like this. And this is like every day anymore. This was a day ago at this point. Anyway, the noise is getting loud again, so I apologize. I might raise my voice even more if this continues to happen. I'm going to kind of take it down one step before I get into a little bit less darker news. Lighter story, though. Bloody disgusting. 10 ridiculous, expensive, horror-themed toys. Now, this was pretty funny because some of these toys I probably would have bought in the past, probably still will. I'm just saying that just to, if a friend hears this, she's going to say, "You still buy those toys?" Well, that's why I'm saying that. Alien, the pod egg, $600. Beetlejuice doll, $120. Child's Play doll, $490. Evil Dead 2, Book of the Dead DVD book, which I did own at one point, which I sold, which I didn't know it was going to go up in value. The book is now worth $330. I think I only paid like $30 for it at the time. I didn't know the value of it would actually go up that much because I would have actually held on to it for a little longer. An Exorcist figurine. It's like a statue from, what do you call it when she turns into that devil in The Exorcist, original Exorcist, $360. Friday the 13th action figure with little Jason Voorhees as little boy and the mom, $430. Jaws, I've seen these online. Jaws with Jaws jump on the boat. That's not that old of a toy. Is now worth $290. The Monsters action figures from the original black and white TV series, they are actually in black and white. The action figures are now worth $250. A Nightmare on Elm Street doll is now worth $315. Scream doll, which is actually, they do that once in a while with these action figures at these comic conventions. Scream doll that is in black and white is worth $117. So there you go. So all that picking on me about buying these toys and action figures, they actually do go up in value. It's not always a total waste. Most of the times, by the time I get rid of them, I throw the boxes out and everything. That does definitely depreciate the value of holding on to them. On a lighter note, well, that was a light note too. I got some story from us.hellomagazine.com. Harrison Ford and Star Wars crew thrilled at Hollywood world premiere. So yeah, that was definitely, I think, which is actually technically almost over now in the next half hour. They did a Star Wars premiere out in California, in Hollywood. And a lot of these people, which I was kind of questioning, are all dressed up in Star Wars costumes. I was actually going to do that when I went. I actually do have a costume I did buy for the return of Star Wars, but I was actually too afraid to wear it. So, yeah, now I'm just questioning. Maybe I should bring it along, and then I can decide when I get to the premiere, when I get to a local theater to go watch the film, because I can always not wear it as well. I'm sure people will dress up for the film, though. Anyway, looking forward to that. Oh, will be a happy belated birthday soon. Happy birthday to Charlie Cox, turns 33. Who is Charlie Cox? He is Daredevil on the new Daredevil on Netflix. It's actually really cool. I love that series. He played Matt Murdock, a.k.a. Daredevil. So happy belated birthday to Matt. I'm sorry, Charlie. Apologize. Gave him his character name. Very cool thing I saw, Doctor Who Worldwide.com. There was this really cool video. Definitely have to give a plug. Cyberbrig. Basically one of the newer episodes of Doctor Who, the Brigadier Left-Eared Steward was changed into a Cyberman. And, so they did something called Cyberbrig. It's like Ultraman, Spider-Man. They took the theme from Spider-Man. They did a really good job, and they mixed it together with Doctor Who, Brigadier Left-Eared Steward, and a Cyberman, because he gets changed to a Cyberman, and they change it into Cyberbrig with the old Spider-Man theme from the old cartoon back when I was a kid. And it looks really impressive. I definitely say, please check that out. It was really funny, too. So there was also a story on celebrating 10 years of King Kong, which I don't understand it. Different story. BloodyDisgusting.com. What was I going to say? The original King Kong actually came out, I think, in the 30s. Was it 1932 or something like that? So, 1938, I apologize. The original King Kong movie came out in 1938. The remake came out in 1976. And then there was the one that was done in 2005, which that would be 10 years ago. So there was 3 versions of the film. The very last one was in 2005. I did not like it. The 2005 version of King Kong was actually a remake from the original 1933. But personally, I did like the original movie, the 1933 version. I loved because I was a kid at the time. And I went and seen that in the big screen back in the day. I saw the one in 1976. And I love that one. I did not like the new one at all back in 2005. I will say, honestly, even though I didn't like that either, I would have to give more credit to the remake of Godzilla. That didn't do that well when America first got their hands on it back. That's almost 10 years ago with the Godzilla movie, where he was able to basically reproduce himself because he was asexual. What was I going to say? That one was bad, but it was more promising than the remake of King Kong. So that's just my opinion. A friend has sent me a story, so thank you, Todd. Mandatory.com. Belgian ice rink blast uncensored rage against a machine while kids skate with parents. Yes, that is really funny. Hey, Rage Against the Machine's got some really kick-ass music, so I can't complain about that. So I'm going to have to write at the end of the show what's wrong with that. Actually, I'll write it right now. And there we go. I just did. So thank you, Todd, for doing that. Oh, by the way, I was kind of questioning if anybody actually listened to my show. I like to hear their feedback on this. I got rid of a lot of stuff. I actually bought finally, because I always heard so much about these headsets, which I do hear the difference. I don't wear them right now, but when I listen to shows at night, were these Dr. Dre Beats HDs solos. They were older Dr. Dre's, and I got those used on Amazon for much less. I think brand new ones are like $400. These were like under $100, and a little uncomfortable sometimes to wear for a long period of time. But as far as the sound, the bass sounds, they sound really, really good. So the reason I question that, though, is that I was in the GameStop the other day, and they said, "Oh, if you really want a good headset, you should buy the PlayStation Gold wireless stereo headset." Now, I read reviews, and everybody says they're great, but the reason people like them because they're, brand new out of the box. They're under $100. And I read the reviews. They said they're really good, but they are wireless, and I've had wireless before. This is why I'm asking people. The question about having wireless headsets is sometimes they don't connect properly. They will disconnect. I've had this issue in the past, and you have to constantly recharge them. So that's also a nuisance to me. I don't like doing that. See, the ones I have right now, the ones that are Dr. Dre's, are actually hardwired, which I like much better. The other thing is I read that there was an issue is that the bass on the Dr. Dre, sorry, a friend responded. The bass on the Dr. Dre's is obviously really good. The bass on the PlayStations, they said, is not so good. So the bottom line is, I'm guessing you're basically getting what you pay for. Yeah, they are $300 cheaper. I didn't pay $400 for mine. I paid under $100 because they were used, but they were in really good shape. I think they were refurbed, the Dr. Dre's. But the sound is definitely there. You can definitely hear the bass. It's very rich, very deep. And I'm questioning, you get what you pay for, but I'm questioning if anybody else agrees or disagrees with that. Other than that, there's been an awful lot of background noise, so I apologize about that tonight. Hopefully it does not show up. I do try to listen to my show the next day. I'll try to listen to it now. But yeah, if you have any feedback, please give it to me. Otherwise, I really can't say when I'll be back on again. So thanks if you do listen to me. I apologize for these long breaks, but there is reasons for it, and I explained that during the beginning of my show. So everyone have a good morning, because even though it is Tuesday night still, by the time I get this finally wrapped up, it will be Wednesday morning. So thanks again if you listen to me, and have a good morning or a good evening, whatever part of the globe you're listening to my show from. Thanks a lot.